We respectfully request the Sangha great virtues for the sake of this assembly and all living beings. Please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us out and birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize non-birth. Cung thính đại đức tăng thịnh, vì thứ pháp bồi cấp nhất thiết chúng sanh. Tịnh chuyên diệu pháp luân giao đạo ngã môn, như há liêu sanh thoát tư ly khổ đạc lạc, tất chứng vô sanh. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Nam mô Sa Đàn Thô Sư Chế Đô Yê La Hư Đi San Miao San Pu Tô Xie. Nam mô Ta Thác Tha Thô Ya Đa Ya La Ha Lê Tam Miao Tam Bồ Đà Toa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million aeons is difficult to encounter. Now that I'm able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual principles. Wu shang sheng sheng wei miao fa, bai jian wan jie nan zao yu, wo jin jian wen de shou chi, yuan jie ru lai zhen shi yi. O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Venerable Huineng, Venerable YongHua, Venerable Left Home people, and all good knowing advisors, Emitofuo. 诸佛菩萨、六祖师父上人、各位出家人、各位善知识，弥陀佛。Chư Phật Bồ Tát, kính thưa lục tổ, hòa thượng Tuyên Hóa, quý thầy cô và quý vị thiện tri thức A Di Đà Phật. Hello everyone, today is the 4th of December 2021. We are gathered here to continue discussing the 6th Patriarch Sutra. This is the second time now for us to go through at least the first part of the sutra. American style. Because we did discuss it, but we followed more or less the Master Huike style. Okay. All right. This is such a wonderful, wonderful, certain teaching that we should have our own interpretation instead of just depending on the Chinese for its understanding. Okay, we're on slide 179. Text. The 5th Patriarch recognized him as a Dharma vessel and conferred the robe and Dharma. He thus inherited the patriarchate, and at his time was the first year of the reign period of YongHua, cyclical year Xinyo, AD 661.
五祖弃之，复依法令四祖位时，时龙朔元年辛酉岁也。
Okay, thank you. Okay, commentary. Okay, so the 5th Patriarch, who is responsible for choosing his successor? So he's been spending a lot of time looking for who is qualified to carry on the mission, and continue the mission. propagating the Chan school, propagating Mahayana. Okay, so to propagate Chan school, propagate Mahayana, basically revolves around getting people to become enlightened to a very high level. Let's stop beating around the bush. Okay, the higher level enlightenment, the more of the Dharma you can understand and can receive. Okay, so that's a concept of Dharma vessel. So he conferred upon the 6th Patriarch, Venerable Huineng, because this Patriarch Chet, how do you pronounce it? Patriarchy, Chet. Someone help me out. Google that word. I don't think it's in the Google vocabulary. Anyway, so he felt that the Venerable Huineng was a worthy Dharma vessel. Dharma means Chan school Dharma, means Mahayana Dharma. Vessel means containment. Okay? And furthermore, it's more than just the concept of containing. It's also a concept, Dharma vessel, concept of adornment. Okay, the Dharma implements has 6 types of different Dharma implements, or Dharma vessel, or Dharma implements. They are to adorn like umbrellas, like garlands. They are supposed to be offering, meaning that that's how we are able to put offerings to the triple jewel. So these vessels to be offering could be a censer, where we offer incense, bowls where we offer food, vases where we offer flowers, and so forth. All sorts of various vessels. Also, Dharma vessel also carries the meaning of announcing time. Okay, the function of Dharma vessel is also to announce time, like a drum and the bells. Typically during normal days, before we do the ceremony, we would hit the drums or some kind of Dharma instruments to announce that the Dharma assembly is about to begin. At lunchtime, for example, we're supposed to, we don't do it here, which is an offense on my part. In the typical temple, before we eat lunch, or before we eat, we're supposed to hit the bell, the bell where we have one outside of at Lu Mountain Temple, but not here. When we hit the bell, which is a convocation, it's an announcement to the world that we are about to make offerings to the Sangha of the 10 directions. That's how important it is. Our lunchtime is an offering. Okay, so we announce the offering by hitting that bell at lunchtime. If we didn't, then the abbot of the temple would have to go to the hells for that. Oh well, one more reason to go, to the hells, among others. Okay, so this is a lot more complicated than you guys think. You guys think the temple is such a simple thing. You just basically put on a sign and open a temple. It's a lot more involved than that. Okay, so this is why the monks and nuns nowadays are not doing well, because they don't get the proper training. Okay, concept of personal utensils, where you have a bowl for you to eat food from, receive food, offerings, or scepter. Okay, that's what you use, tools you use for your work, Dharma propagation and propagating and bestowing blessings upon your followers. And finally, a Dharma vessel refers to the instruments that's used in the secret school. That is, for example, we also have that practice here in our association, our temples. We have the hands and eyes, where we practice these, we work on our secret school Dharma instruments through the 42 hands and eyes, okay? Or the hands and eyes of Shrangama mantras and so forth, okay? Which are not transmitted to you. Oh. All right, so that's what the meaning of Dharma vessel. So basically, in other words, the 5th Patriarch has all these Dharma vessels. Now, these are the treasure of Mahayana, and therefore he needs to find a worthy recipient to pass them on to. So far, so good. So 5th Patriarch himself was a Dharma vessel. So he had to look for the next Dharma vessel, his successor, in order to transmit his treasure to the next generation, so that Buddhism becomes stronger, not weaker. And this is a responsibility for patriarchs. They are supposed to preserve the treasure that was conferred upon them, okay? And if they're any good, they will find people, hopefully, who are better than them at doing the work. So that's why it's a very, very important task. And it's something that is not taken lightly. It's a huge responsibility that the Westerners don't understand, unfortunately. Okay, the 2nd Patriarch, we are on slide 181. The second Patriarch Huike served Bodhidharma for a long time without urging or encouragement. He even cut off his arm to seek the Dharma. Therefore, Bodhidharma knew that Huike was a worthy Dharma vessel. So he entrusted the rope and a bowl he brought from India to China. He kept all these years. Luckily, they don't look very impressive. That's why the thieves didn't think of stealing from them. Okay, only the pros know those values. And so you see, in order to be a Dharma vessel, you need to pass a lot of tests. Venerable Huike, Great Master Huike, had to endure the daily testing from Bodhidharma for 9 years. It got worse, it got harder and harder and harder by the day. Okay, and that's the nature of the teaching. The teaching is a series of increasingly difficult tests. And those who fail typically blame the teacher. Okay? They run away and blame the teacher. The teacher is no good. Teacher is a scam artist or whatever. Okay, and the teacher is still the teacher, but those failures are hurting and are suffering and are falling. All right. Also, the concept of Dharma vessel. Look at the 2nd Patriarch. Huike had the potential. Had tremendous potential. And it's like raw steel. He needs to be tempered. He needs to be made stronger. And then once the raw steel was refined, and to remove the impurities, then must be shaped, must be formed, so that it can be used properly. And that's how you become a worthy container. Okay? And that's why you see, when you look at how Venerable Huike was trained, okay, Master Bodhidharma never really taught him how to do the full lotus at all. Think about that. In contrast to nowadays, we ask you, basically put all of you, virtually all of you, through this mill called the full lotus. Okay, Huike, he was allowed to kneel for 9 years. Okay, and that's how Venerable Bodhidharma chose to temper Master Huike. And because Huike has a huge temper, he thought very highly of himself. Remember his story. He's only there because he's afraid to die. Okay? And he was told that only this Indian with a huge beard, with a beardy Indian monk, is the only person who can save him from death. Okay, and that's why he's there. So he has this huge temper and thought highly of himself. That's why Bodhidharma patiently waited for Huike to get rid of all his bad habits. Okay, so and that's the nature of Chan training, by the way. Chan training in Mahayana, Chan is a set of methods in order to help you remove your impurities. We need to temper your steel, make it stronger. Okay, if you hang in there like Huike did, it will naturally happen. So the point here is that, okay, what's different between Huike, Great Master Huike, and ourselves? What's the difference? Someone tells me, please. Hello there. Anybody home? What's the difference? Anyone? Okay, but since you are so eagerly willing to pitch in, I'm going to start calling names. Korean ladies. Okay, and there you go. They're so excited. Master Xianjie is looking away.
I guess he was in the situation of having no choice because he was either going to die or else he had to figure it out.
Anyone else? 6. What's the difference between him and us?
Thank you, Master. Respectfully, Venerable XJ, I think some of us have that in common with Huike.
Who has in common?
What we do here to cultivate saves our lives, so I don't think that's a big enough difference.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. First of all, Huike is Chinese. We're not Chinese. You haven't noticed? It's a Chinese thing. Sorry, picking on the Chinese and Taiwanese, all the same. Huike has a real need to learn. Okay, and that's the difference between a person who can improve and a person who does not improve. In that, it's all about you. Do you see Do you believe that you need to improve? You need to practice. If you believe, you really believe you need to practice, okay, then you'll be given different kinds of tests to help you, not help the teacher, to help you, okay, develop your faith and that the practice can help save you. You have the faith, then it's possible. Okay, so that's why Huike had to go through all these trials and tribulations, all these tests, this very rough test. Okay, but he persevered, and what made him different, what worked for him was because he really have nowhere else to go. If he steps out of it, he'll die. Okay, and that's why why it worked for him. The Chan school, like right now, you do a Chan Chi here. If you somehow manage to have the same attitude. This is what the Chinese said. You know, when you do Chan, like think of there's a Chinese character called Death Su, on your eyelids. Okay. So that every time you close your eyes, you should see the character Su, okay, death, okay, because this is what's happening to you. You're dying, okay, you're dying slowly, and you choose to ignore it. Doing Chan will help you address that problem. Ignoring it will not make it go away. Okay? And so this is the key in Mahayana. Everyone is a worthy Dharma vessel. Not just Huike. Huike happened to be there, happened to be able to take advantage of his dire circumstances. Yes, 8.
Thank you, Master. Just I'm not sure this time is right, but I want to share my story.
Yes, please do.
Yes, I have some struggling, Master, no. So before I have some incident, the little family, so I try to use my knowledge, but I had a meeting with the Master. After that, I just follow the Master's direction. So I'm trying to do best as I can. So today, I didn't lie to my husband. I'm going to temple. I want to go temple.
You told him directly?
Yes, I didn't lie to him.
So you've been lying to your husband?
I didn't lie to today.
Not today?
Yeah.
I see.
So he said, yeah, it's your religion life, just go ahead, he said.
Wow.
Yeah, tonight.
That's the first time.
First time.
It's the first time he told you so?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So I want to share, I also say thank you, Master. Just I want to tell everybody, if you have some hard thing, you have to ask a meeting with the Master and you follow the Master direction.
No. Wait.
Thank you, Master.
Oh, that's what, I don't have time for this. But congratulations.
Master, so I got a new job.
A new job?
Yeah.
Oh, you got a job?
Yeah, this week I'm starting last Monday I start the new job.
Oh, wow.
So my age is not, I'm in the Asian, the thinking is that I can get a new job.
Right.
But I'm trying to get a job, but just within the 2 weeks, I have some good opportunity. So my yeah, it's,
Excellent. So good things are happening to you.
yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Isn't that
so
nice? Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. It's actually, she's been, it's very difficult for her to come to the temple all this time, okay? And because of the family situations. And she persevered. And it got worse and worse, yes? It got more difficult. That's the nature of it. The whole time it actually got worse. It didn't get better at all.
Yeah.
Until recently, yes?
Yes, I think since I came to the temple in the 2020, I expecting, I honestly I expecting I can get better and my situation is more getting wonderful. I always maybe my
Just like that, right? I mean, you come to the temple, everything should get better right away.
I request the medicine master play for all my family. So I'm just expecting good things to happen.
Right, yeah.
But it's not.
But nothing good happen.
No, it's good. It's good happen to my children. My children is change a lot. They have a good opportunity. For their life. I think it's good, but one of the big things is not happen to me. So I
see.
Yes.
So you want them all, both your children and yourself as well. It's reasonable, yes.
Yeah, so I'm struggling, and maybe I'm greedy. I'm expecting too much. But right now I had a meeting, and since I have cultivate, I'm not exactly say the cultivate by practice. I'm praying, and I rely on some Buddhist. I think I'm expecting too much. I'm a good. I didn't see my bad things. I only see my husband the bad thing. So right now I realize, yeah.
Well, what happened to you is that over time, somehow you're able to change yourself, which you couldn't see, and then finally, recently, your husband saw it and he liked it. So he said, "Oh, go! I like what I'm seeing."
I'm not sure today. Just he said.
But tomorrow might change.
Yeah.
Don't worry. That's just life. Okay, we husbands are very fickle. Okay, we change our minds constantly. You can't decide. Well, that's wonderful, and that's part of it is to persevere, and become a better person, and that's why he likes it, and that's exactly what we can all hope for. What happens is that when we go to the temple, our family feels left out, especially our spouses feel threatened, that they are finding new rivals for your attention, for your time. So it's not a comfortable situation at all, okay, for our families, even your children. They say, "Hey, Mom, I need to share your time now." And so it's understandable, but eventually they see that this is better for everyone, because and this is the spirit of Mahayana, that we spend time doing this, we make sacrifices to do this in order to become a better person. And it rubs off on the people around us. It's natural, okay? And so that's why in my world, I don't see how I can save living beings, okay? I can see how we can help our families and friends and our workers and our neighbors and so forth. You start small, okay? And you go in that direction as you have more and more skills, you have more and more endurance, more power, then you naturally do more. That's all. So that's Mahayana in the West, I feel. The Asians talk too much. I don't like the way they talk. They talk about saving living beings, and they can't even save themselves. Okay, so us Westerners, we frown upon that and say you're basically a cheap salesman. Okay, All right. So congratulations to you. Thank you for sharing your experience with us. All right. I don't know what else. I can't top this. Might as well take a break and something. Okay. So the Buddhist practice is very humble. We don't talk. We simply take care of our bad habits. We get rid of our bad habits. Master Huike used to say, I want you to come to my temple and give me your greed, your anger, your stupidity. Dump it all on me. Okay? And those tests, by the way, they are administered upon you, whether in the form of a fasting, whether it's in the form of a scolding, whether it's in the form of harsh words. Okay? They actually are designed to help you get rid of your 3 poisons. Okay, and that's why the tests are not easy to pass. But if you do pass the test, you can't. You just run away, like some people did. Okay, but if you can pass these tests, naturally the steel will be tempered. And that to me is what I find most fascinating about Mahayana training. Because everyone is a Dharma vessel. You know, if you give me anyone, it doesn't matter whether his name is Huike or Seng Can or Dao Xin or Hong Zhen, okay? You give me any of those names, and all these people or any other person who is willing to endure the tests, okay? Enduring the tests means that you won't always get what you want. This is not an exchange. It's not a sale here where you give me food, give me fruit, to give me money in exchange, I give you what you want. Okay? It's not a business transaction at all. It's about refining your nature, getting rid of your bad habits. Okay? And so therefore, the key here is what Huike did, is to hang in there regardless. Okay? And that's such an important lesson for all of us. The only way the Huike could make it to end his suffering and do important things for his life was not to quit, regardless. With or without instruction. He just knelt behind it and said, I don't care. Okay? I'm going to kneel here until I'm taught. All right? And that's a very important example for all of us. This is why you should look at the story at Master Huike and you see how beautiful it is. It says that a person like Huike, typically, I look at Huike and say, you are a known Dharma master, you're so full of yourself. My first reaction is, next. It's a waste of time, it takes too long to teach you. But no, Bodhidharma had no choice. He had no one else to teach. You notice that? Huike is the only person who followed him. He's the only person that Bodhidharma keep on pushing away, rejecting him, but he won't go away. That's why Bodhidharma ending up having to teach him. See that? It's not as glamorous you think, being the patriarch and so forth. It's so unglamorous. No one wants you. No one believes you. You get all these, this Cheng Guang is, oh God, I mean, I wouldn't give Shen Guang a second look, let me tell you. People may adore him, may be impressed with his Dharma talks and so forth, but all those are empty to me. They're only to impress children. And yet, Bodhidharma had to teach a guy called Shen Guang and turn him to Huike. And that's a story of Mahayana right there. Everyone is a worthy Dharma vessel because the Chan school, because Mahayana has that kind of magic. It's you who give up on yourself prematurely. All right, continuing 183. Text. He returned south and hid for 16 years.
南归隐遁16年。
184 commentary, and that's the so he went back south where he came from, and that's where he can get some support from the locals. So in Chinese folklore, there's a story of I don't know what's a Chinese word for this. Okay, Jun, Chang Jun or something. Chinese people, can you help me out? This is a person whose Q&A. Go ahead.
It's a famous story. The person is Meng Changjun.
Meng Changjun.
Yeah, it's a famous story in the spring-autumn period.
Yeah, okay. So he's a general of, what's the country? You guys can put in the Chinese characters for me later. That the country of Meng Changjun is Wei? No. I forgot. Anyway. So this Meng Changjun here is an official in a court, very powerful and very, he's a general, and he's very powerful and very rich, okay? And he has his counselor, okay? All these officials have their own counselors, okay? Advisors, okay? By the name of Feng Huang. And this guy here is very clever, and he has many expedients. Okay, that's what the great personalities in China they employ these people who have wisdom, who have the skills. Okay, and that's Asian tradition. And so. He sent his advisor to collect the taxes in a certain region, a county, and so before the advisor left, he says, "After I collected all the taxes, do you need to buy anything?" And so Meng Changjun said, "See what you feel I need and buy it for me." Okay, so that's kind of trust between the general and his advisor. So when the advisor came to the area, to that county, okay, he saw that the people were very poor and they're peasants, poor peasants. So he says, "I tell you what, for this year, I proclaim on behalf of the general." Who is who are the Lord? Who is the Lord of this land here where you live? And we will collect no taxes for you this year, okay? And furthermore, not only this year, I also absolve you only on all future tax collections, okay? And so he went back to the boss. and then told the boss, he says, you have wealth, you have honor, you have horses, okay? It's like cryptocurrency nowadays. I'm obsessed with cryptocurrencies, okay? You have women, okay? You have nothing lacking. Therefore, I bought what you need. Now, I bought humaneness and principles. Okay? Bought meaning here, you have to do something. You have to pay for it. You have to take losses in exchange for those things you bought. You bought, what he bought for the boss is humaneness and principles, okay? And righteousness. And of course, Meng Changjun was unhappy, but he, noblesse oblige, he had no choice but let it go. Okay, he has many more lands anyway. Later, the king demoted Meng Changjun. That's a common thing with officials of the court. You are there at the pleasure of the king, and the king is displeased with you, whether you did something or someone badmouthed you. That's just life. So the king demoted him. He had to return to his territory, and then the whole village heard of it, came out and greeted him for 10 miles long. And that's how Meng Changjun realized what his advice did for him, and he became very grateful. Okay, so that's what happens. You make sure that you take care of the base. Okay, wherever you are, wherever you go, how big you grow, this is a common wisdom. You take care of the base. You take care of your people, your villages, and so forth. And that's Asian wisdom. All right? So, and that's why the Sixth Patriarch decided to go back to the south, go south, where he built relationships, or he had some connections in the past. Okay? But primarily at the time, Venerable Huineng had to run for his life. Okay, so what's interesting here is that he's facing imminent death from his own kind. Not just his own kind, but from the disciples of his own teacher. It's so cool to me. It's the teacher students who want to kill him. Okay? And they're all Buddhists, okay, and also non-Buddhists, of course. And so that's why you understand why the current patriarch is hiding his tail, because it's very dangerous to be a patriarch. Okay. Yes, number 6.
Thank you, Master. It doesn't make sense to me why Buddhist disciples would want to kill.
Well, they have their own agendas. They disagree with the Sixth Patriarch being a Sixth Patriarch. So they felt that he didn't deserve it. So get him out of the way. When you're a patriarch, you don't understand about the state of patriarchs. And patriarchs are like a pope in Buddhism. Okay, and the pope is a very powerful individual who can rally 1.2 billion people. Same thing with the patriarch. Similarly, in patriarch in China back then, you have this patriarch here who is basically a living pope for the Chinese Buddhists. And therefore, it's a very powerful position. And people covet it because you can profit handsomely from that. You can build great fame for yourself as well. Okay, so it's not uncommon for these patriarchs that the worst enemies were from within. The worst enemies actually from the other monks and nuns. Okay? The non-Buddhists are not as harmful, okay, and not as dangerous. They're from outside threat. It's the internal threats are much more dangerous, okay? And so being a patriarch is not easy at all. That's why you see the second patriarch we have right now who's hiding because he can't handle it. That's a fact. If he could, he would be out taking, being shot at, being poisoned, doing all those things, slandered and all those things. Okay, so Master Huike, after he received the teaching from the 5th Patriarch, and he became enlightened. Okay, he became enlightened under the teaching of the 5th Patriarch. Okay, and because of that, he had to go and hone his skills. Enlightenment is just the beginning of the real work. Because once you're enlightened, you are not the same as the rest of us. Meaning now you're enlightened, you have responsibilities. And that's why, in particular, if you're a patriarch, you have huge responsibilities. You have a lot of responsibilities you need to fulfill. Therefore, what did he do? This is why the typical patriarchs, you go into hiding so that you can develop skills. Okay? Meaning that he honed his spiritual penetrations. So he continued to work on his steel, refine the steel further, so it become even more pure than before. And furthermore, he developed on spiritual penetrations in order to go do his work or defend himself or his people. All right? So that's why it took him 16 years. And he hid for 16 years amongst hunters, okay, in order to hone his skills. Okay, and which is kind of interesting. When you talk about honing skills, Hinayana, what did they do? They go and they meditate all day, right? The 6th Patriarch, when you live among hunters, you cannot afford, you don't have the luxury of crossing your legs, okay? So he worked, and he worked, and he worked, and he worked. That's a rather interesting way of honing his skills. You see, that's why Mahayana is so fascinating to me. There's so many ways to do it. Okay? It's not always about crossing your legs and meditation. It's a lot more. All right? And I'm sure that at night when the hunters were sleeping, then Master Huike would meditate and have astral bodies. Okay. So he cultivated China at night, and he was able to disguise it very well. Okay. All right. 186. On the 8th day of the first month of the first year of the rain period, Yifeng, the cyclical year Bingzi, he met Dharma Master Yizong.
至元年丙子正月8日，会应宗法师。
All right, so Master Huike, 187, they discussed the profound and unfathomable, and Yin Zong became thoroughly awakened to the Master's doctrine.
结论玄奥， 印宗务弃失职。
Commentary on 188. So finally, after 16 years, he's ready. So he descended from the mountain, is the expression. Okay? So he came out from hiding. And he says, I'm ready to work, come what may. And he met this monk called Inzong. Okay? And Inzong, being a high-level Dharma master, meaning he met many, many monks and nuns, many senior monks and nuns, many talented monks and nuns, chant master, secret school master, and all those things. And therefore, what makes Inzong different is that he saw them, and he recognized that after seeing all different types of people like that, you can see one is different, that he could tell that Huineng was different from the other monks. Okay? Although at the time Huineng is still a lay person. Okay? But you could tell from Master Huineng's comportment and his answers, his understanding of Buddhism. Okay? And this is something that cannot be faked. This is why experienced people, you have to give Inzong credit because he wants to cultivate. And he wanted to cultivate. That's why he's looking at these different people that he met. Oh, that's a cultivator, that's not a cultivator, and this so forth. So he is able to come up with this profile or the cultivator, spirit cultivator is like. Okay? And he saw that in Huineng, Master Huineng, in this rough-looking barbarian that Master Huineng used to look like. And not sure who approached whom. I would imagine that Master Huineng approached Inzong, okay? And maybe attending a lecture of Inzong, and then Dharma talk Inzong and started asking questions, okay? And the way you ask questions tells a lot about you, yourself. So Inzong caught Inzong's attention, and they discussed things, okay? And since Master Huineng is not well-read, the only thing he knew really was the Vajra Sutra. That's the only thing he learned from the 5th Patriarch. Other than that, he really had no schooling at all. Never learned precepts, never learned anything. Okay? So he only studied the Vajra Sutra from the 5th Patriarch. Okay? So that's why I imagine that when, this is my interpretation, that's why when Inzong discussed went back and forth with Rinpo Huineng, Inzong was impressed by Huineng's answers, Master Huineng's answers. Okay? So they discussed the profound, unfathomable, meaning that Inzong actually was asking Rinpo Huineng about his understanding. Okay? And so he asked a lot of difficult questions. And the 6th Patriarch was able to discuss and debate with him. And ultimately, Inzong, Dharma Master Inzong was very knowledgeable. He's very well-read, okay? But his understanding is pretty shallow because his samadhi level is pretty low, like a typical Chinese Dharma master back then. Do you think that this samadhi level, high samadhi level, happen haphazardly? You need to go through the proper kind of training. I mentioned something called the way. You know, there's the way. There's a way for you to get there. It's not arbitrary. It requires special knowledge. All right? And let me remind you, this special knowledge is, I don't care how smart you are. You can't figure it out. It's impossible for you to figure it out. Someone had to show you. And this is contrary to popular belief. You think you're smart, you can figure it out. You could be an Einstein, you can be this extremely high level IQ, you can't figure it out. There's no way for you to figure it out. Okay, and that's why personally, when I met people, I would if I meet people like Shen Guang or Huike, I would just, it's a waste of time. These people know too much, they fool themselves. It's not worth it to try to talk to them. Okay, so anyway, so Yinzong is a typical example of a very well-intentioned monk who went through the Asian, the Chinese, then the Chinese Buddhism training, and without the secret Chan training. That's why they got nowhere. This is the state of Buddhism throughout the world nowadays. It's no different from Buddhism in China back then. Okay? People are good with the scriptures, you have degrees and so forth, but you point to me, except for one professor I can think of. All the professors I met, the samadhi level is too low. There's no way they can understand Buddhism profoundly. Buddhism is very, very profound. Okay? And that's why you can tell that Buddhism is in trouble nowadays, because the monks and nuns, the young monks and nuns, spend the time going after a degree, a Buddhism degree from universities, instead of receiving the proper training from the monks and nuns. And after they receive a PhD in Buddhism from a great school, they go back and the lectures are so well attended, hundreds of people, and they speak nonsense because after the lecture they walk out and say, "Oh, I don't understand anything, but surely this master is so knowledgeable, so wise." Okay, and that's why Buddhism dies. The other day, we talked to someone who says, Christianity or Catholicism is dying, is shrinking. It's because their people don't understand Catholicism anymore. They fail to understand what Catholicism is about. Buddhism is in similar veins. In order for us to propagate Buddhism, we need to train the next generation properly. And that's why Chan is so important. There's no Mahayana without Chan. That's historically what happened. Buddhism was there in China, but it's not until Master Bodhidharma came from India to China to teach Chan, that's when Buddhism began to take off. Same thing. Buddhism is here in the US, has been for a long time. 1960s, Dr. Suzuki and many monks and nuns, they taught Buddhism. But it's not until Master Huike came to the US in the 1960s, 1970s, that's when Buddhism started to take off. Okay? 189. And after discussing with Bodhidharma, with the Master Huineng, Yinzong was awakened to what? To how shallow his understanding of Buddhism is. There's so much more he couldn't understand. And Venerable Huineng was able to help Yinzong break through. You know what it means? Of course you don't know what it means. It meant that as Yinzong was discussing the principle with Master Huike. Master Huike used the sudden teaching to help Inzong. That's what happened. Otherwise, if Inzong did not improve, how could have he understood more? That's not possible. You understand? It's not about talk. In order for you to understand more, you have to improve. So he penetrated and enlightened the profound teaching, meaning Inzong wasn't actually enlightened, but actually he improved tremendously. Okay, and the master's doctrine. Okay, and the doctrine here refers to Master Huike's style of teaching. Each master has a certain style of teaching. And I can tell you that the way that Master Huike taught me is pretty unpleasant. It's not pleasant at all. He basically, you're an idiot. Are you paying attention? Are you ready, idiot? I said, say what? It's not polite at all. I mean, surprising. Maybe Master Huike lacked education, you know. I'm kidding. He's my other idol, okay? I'm kidding. But the doctrine here, I know the Buddhists and the scholars who like the doctrine is that the doctrine of prajna, the doctrine of vajra, the doctrine of avatamsaka. No, doctrine is how Master Huike managed to help Inzong awaken. That's his doctrine. Is what he did, what he said to help Inzong. And that was what captivated Inzong. Okay? And that's the sudden teaching. Right then, Master Huike used a sudden teaching to convert this influential Dharma master, Inzong. Okay? Questions or comments? Yes, 6.
Master, how can one recognize the style of the certain teaching?
There's nothing to recognize. Either you get it or you don't. I remember Master YongHua, when he met me, he said, I said, and I couldn't understand what he meant. 11 years later, I said, yeah, that's why. Okay? But then I thought, I was so special. You know, I said, I was so special that he would teach me. After 11, he said, he finally gave me, you know, he taught me already. Yeah. And then later, I heard another disciple of his who also met him for the first time. And he said, Master YongHua told him, and after all these decades, he still doesn't get it. Okay? So, Chan training is not what you think. Yeah, not at all. And so this is a doctrine here. This certain teaching here is depends on the teacher. Okay, when the 6th Patriarch taught me, okay, Master YongHua taught me, it took me 11 years to understand. When Master, because it's a bigger lesson. When the 6th Patriarch taught me, it's a very focused lesson. So within less than 60 seconds, broke through. Okay, there's a certain teaching. All right? So that's the difference between the teachers. 190 text. On the 15th day of that month, in front of the fourfold assembly, the master's head was shaved.
结论是月15日，普会四众为师剃发。
I love this sutra because it sets so many precedents. It tells you what's a proper way of propagating Mahayana, the certain teaching in particular. Okay. 191, on the 8th day of the 2nd month, well-known and virtuous ones gathered to confer the full precepts.
2月8日，集诸明德，受具足戒。
Okay, let's see. What's the difference? The first time, 15 of that month. What month is that? First month, okay? So first month he met Inzong. That month there, Inzong decided to shave his head. And then on the 2nd month, okay, so 30 days later, so he kept his shamanic precepts for 1 month, okay? And well known, so these big shots came upon the invitation of Inzong and to give him a special ceremony to turn him into a monk. So fourfold assembly in 192 commentary, fourfold assembly refers to the monks and nuns plus the novices, meaning that at that time only monks and nuns were gathered, and at the ceremonies also novices as well to encourage them. But at some certain point in time, novices have to leave when they cannot hear and listen to the bhikshu precepts, so they had to leave. So monks and nuns there, even nuns had to leave as well. And on 8th day of the 2nd lunar month, so that's, is that a birthday? Maybe that's a birthday of Master Huike, okay? Shave his head, okay? And receive the full precepts, 250 precepts, okay? And this is very important because in order for you to teach Buddhism, you have to be a monk. That's the standard, set by the Chinese patriarchs. Okay? That's why I have a hard time with all these people who nowadays, who lay people in particular, including disciples, Master YongHua, whether professors or non-professors, they teach Buddhism. That's wrong, because you have to be a monk or nun to teach Buddhism, to propagate Buddhism. You can teach Buddhism at the colleges and universities, that's fine, okay, as any topic in the curriculum. But in terms of propagating Buddhism, you have to be a monk, okay? And it's in a similar vein, if you want to learn Buddhism, you cannot learn from a lay person. In particular, a monk cannot learn from a lay person. I have a hard time with that. Okay? I have a hard time when I hear a monk says, I learned my Buddhism from a lay person. I say what? Then what you learn is not Buddhism. This layperson cannot really, lay people are not qualified to teach you Buddhism. Only monks or nuns are qualified to teach you Buddhism. Okay, of course there's exceptions. One exception is Vimalakirti. Now that's different because he's the Buddha. Okay. Anyway, 193. Vinaya Master Zhiguang of Xijing was the precept transmitter. Vinaya Master Huike of Suzhou was a karma dana.
西京智光律师为受戒师，苏州慧净律师为结魔。
Okay, Q&A.
Master, I wonder why Venerable Huineng did not leave home life with the 5th Patriarch, or was he ever shaved with him, or was just because he has been with the hunters for 15 years, so he has to shave again?
A good question. I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm not Chinese either, so what would I know? Okay, but in my guess is the way these great monks cultivate is to accord with conditions. Of course, preferably, he would be better off originally. If he had a choice, he should have stayed with the 5th Patriarch, at least temporarily, at least for a short time. And then he should leave. Okay? Why? Because when you first start cultivating, like when he did, okay, it is easier if you have some protection. And so that's why initially, when he's still weak, he needs some protection. He should have got some protection. Okay, so he would be much better off. Okay, and then after he's strong enough, then he should leave. Okay, so that's why my preference would have been to stay with Master Hongren, the 5th Patriarch, for a while and then leave. Okay, then what it means is that then he would not have had to spend 16 years. It could have been a little bit shorter. That's the advantage. Okay. However, he could not stay there because of the nature of the conditions. If he stayed there, here's what the problem. If he stayed there, then he would have to contend with Sheng Xiu and all the Sheng Xiu disciples and so forth. Okay, and so the Sheng Xiu and his disciples, I believe, would have done everything possible to prevent Master Huineng from cultivating. Basically, Sheng Xiu says, I am the substitute teacher, assistant teacher, therefore you have to do it my way. Okay? Because Master Hongren delegated the authority to Sheng Xiu already. Therefore, it is in Sheng Xiu's interest to make sure it happened, because I saw it happening, to make sure that Master Huineng would not be able to make progress. And that's a problem. Okay, and I remember a very small scale. When I was there, I basically looked down at my master's disciples, a bunch of idiots. Okay, and they don't know what they're doing, and yet they're telling me left and right every day what to do. And when I snuck a little bit of time I had to meditate, I have some of these problems. And I said, I have this problem, what do? I don't know. Stop meditating. Or I asked something about Mahayana I read, I didn't understand. I said, okay, so it's amazing that in the temples you get some protection in exchange. They force you to do things their ways. In particular, those people who force you are the one without wisdom. Now my temple is exactly opposite. My disciples have wisdom, but newcomers think they don't have any wisdom. That's how stupid the newcomers are. So I would prefer to stay there for a few years. Then he's stable enough to be able to fend himself. Okay, and then, but he had to run away because he could not stay there, and because he's running away, he had no support. Everywhere he went, he had to prove himself. It takes time to prove himself, earn his own place. Okay, and that's why it took him a little bit longer, I feel, than necessary. Okay, and plus, this is also things that is a good question. Things that most people don't realize is that Master Huike is no ordinary being. Look at his attainment. It's from very little help. Okay, he got one help in the marketplace to reach fourth stage Arhat. One sentence, one phrase. Okay, you should produce a mind that is nowhere. That dwells nowhere. Okay? That's it. That's the only help he needed to reach fourth stage Arhat. And I've been teaching you so much every day. And you should have been much further than fourth stage Arhat. And how stupid you are. I'm serious. And you think you're so special. Master Huike only had to hear that phrase once, fourth stage Arhat. Okay? And then he went to the 5th Patriarch and thrashed the rice for 8 months. Okay? And he's almost there. So the 5th Patriarch brought him to the room, explained the Master Sutra. How long did it take? I don't know. Not very long, I assure you. 2, 3, 4 hours, because they do morning ceremony. So he had to do it, he had to do it pretty fast. So you see, Master Huike was explained the principles only. He was really taught how to do Chan, even. Think about it. You realize that? The 5th Patriarch never said, the 5th Patriarch, later you see the 5th Patriarch explained the Master Sutra to him, because the Master Sutra is pretty long. Okay? And then so he never really taught the 6th Patriarch how to do Chan at all. That's how tough the 6th Patriarch's training was. And that's why his attainment is so advanced, because the tougher it is, the further you go. So, Master Huike is one of the rare examples I see. And you see that because you see how little help he got. So don't you ever dare think that you can figure it out, because you can't. It only takes a person like Master Huike, Master YongHua to be able to figure it out. No one really taught Master YongHua Chan either. Think about it. his teachers, the fourth stage Arhat, what do they know about Chan? Chang Ren, Chan whatever, Chan Shu, Chan Ren, all those monks who were his Master Shenhua's Shifu. The fourth stage Arhat, what do they know about Chan? Zilch. So Chan, Master Shenhua, sat in the mother's grave and he figured it out. You see, so you look at the stories, you see these monks are extraordinary and they're able to accomplish things with very, very little help. So don't ever you dare to think that you can do the same thing, because look, every day you struggle so much. Okay? Know your limitations. Okay, 194. Precept transmitter. Here you transmit the precept substance, and basically Master Huike didn't need any help to get the precept substance. Kamadana is a ceremony master. It means to arrange events, to explain the rules, meaning that he says, now for the next part of the ceremony, you need to kneel down and do this and do that. Okay, and there's certain rules in the ceremonies when you transmit the precepts that's called jiemo, that kama vachana and so forth. Okay, and so because Yin Zhong's influence and Yin Zhong's connections, these are the who's and who's of Chinese Buddhism back then. Okay, and so therein lies, Master Huike lost a lot of time, 16 years honing his skills. Okay, could have been a lot shorter. Okay, had he have the circumstances, so probably could shorten by 3 years, 5 years, probably. Okay, if he got more help initially. Okay, but eventually these who's and who's in Chinese Buddhism will actually help him become more famous a lot more quickly. So there's a trade-off. Okay, the harder start Master Huike had gave him a high level of skills, which then he can help a lot more people because of the connections through Yin Zhong. 195. Vinaya Master Tung Ying of Jingzhou was a teaching transmitter.
荆州通印律师为教授。
All right, 196. Vinaya Master Jidolo, Central India, recited the precepts. Tripitaka Master Mido of India was the precept certifier.
中天奇多罗律师为说戒，西国密多三藏为正戒。
This is so cool. 197. Okay, commentary. Teaching transmitter. Okay, that's a Qi Duo Luo, which means flower of merit and virtue. He is the one who transmits sutra, transmits the Mahayana teachings. The precept transmitter, the person who recited the precepts, okay, meaning they recited the marks, the description of the precepts, okay, and this is important for Master Huike because it was the first time he heard of them. So this is for part of his formation. He needs to hear about these precepts. Okay, and because of his wisdom, hearing the precepts sort of like reminded him about the Vinaya. That he knew before. Okay, and precept certifier. So the precepts need to be certified by this person here is versed in the 3 baskets of precept sutras and shastras. And his name is Mido from India, flourishing Dharma. So interestingly, the 2 major help he got at the platform was from India. Number one, there is precept mark for someone who's knowledgeable, an Indian master who recited the precepts for him. Okay, and then more importantly, there's a precept Tipitaka master, Indian master, who certified that he received the precepts. Yes, 9, did you have a question?
From Derek, Master, why would Buddhist disciples prevent others from making progress? Shouldn't they have known that would have generated karma that would hinder their own progress in the future?
And many different reasons why we obstruct each other. It could be jealousy, it could be stupidity, could be payback. There's so many reasons. So it just happens. You should not be afflicted over the Buddhist disciples obstructing each other. And actually, to me, it was great that Sheng Xiu was obstructing Master Huineng, because the more difficult that Sheng Xiu made for him by sending his own disciples to come after Master Huineng and try to kill him, then Master Huineng could develop his spiritual penetration a lot quicker, a lot faster, out of need. Okay? So you should not be afflicted over that. You know, the Buddhists, go ahead, try to kill. So what? Try to slander. Big deal. Okay? Not at all. It's just like, why do you look at others? If others try to kill, others do stupid things, none of your damn business. When are you going to wake up? This is what people do. These stupid monks and nuns, they only look at others and say, oh, why are monks so bad? Why are nuns so bad? None of your business. Yeah, plenty of reasons why it's the case. It's none of your business. Stop judging others. (198) Construction of the precept platform had begun in the former Song dynasty by Tipitaka Master Gunabhadra. He set a stone tablet which said,
其戒坛乃宋朝求那跋陀罗三藏创建，立碑日。
Okay, 199. The precept platform is a place where, in the temple, where they use to transmit precepts, so because you have a lot of people attending it. Okay, in this particular case, only one person attending it. Mostly are spectators who are big shots and their followers and their colleagues. Okay, so it's like a show where the whole thing assembled there because of the fame and reputation of the certifiers and the people on the platforms. So it's actually a privilege to be able to be invited there to witness this. Okay, so it's a very formal place. So it is so big and supposed to be so big of a deal that they use actually use a platform that's built a long time ago, and by this Gunabhadra, okay, which means Indian master, it says worthy of merit and virtue. 200. In the future, a bodhisattva in the flesh will receive the precepts in this very place.
后当有肉身菩萨于此受戒。
So that Indian monk, when he set up a precept platform way back then, don't know when, maybe 100 years ago, okay, earlier, and he says, in the future, okay, he made a prediction. He said, in the future, a bodhisattva in the flesh, a living bodhisattva in the form of a human being who has a human body, a flesh body, will be receiving the precepts here. Okay, and this is what bodhisattvas do. They give us prediction to help us develop our faith. Okay, those people back then would say, "Oh, the master has a prediction here, so the master must be someone special who has this can see the future." And us in the future, looking at that, oh, so this is, and we have plenty of sages who've been paving the way for all these things are supposed to happen. You see, so it seems like you send an Indian monk to China to build precept platform to wait for Master Huike. The platform was built for Master Huike and not for the other Chinese monks. When you think about it, okay, then because then it's well worth it. All the time they spend on building and money they spend on building a platform is really for Master Huike. In other words. 202. Later in the first year of the Tianjin reign of the Liang dynasty, Tripitaka master Nana Baishaya came by sea from West India carrying a Bodhi tree branch.
又梁天建元年，制药三藏自西竺国航海而来，将彼土菩萨树一株，菩提树一株。
So they also more historical records in Buddhism, where we actually these things are actually pretty are recorded in our materials. So you have these big shots coming from India, okay, who paved the way, okay, brought even a Bodhi tree, okay. Not sure it's the first one, but whatever, okay. 204, which he planted besides the platform. He also prophesied after 170 years.
值此谈判，亦欲至日后170年。
205, a bodhisattva in the flesh will proclaim the supreme vehicle beneath his tree, taking measureless multitudes across. He will be a true transmitter of the Buddha's mind seal, a Dharma host.
有肉身菩萨于此树下开眼上圣，度无量众，真传佛心，应知法主也。
206. So he says another record, another annotation in the Buddhist records. It says another Indian master also made a prediction who brought a Bodhi tree. Okay, very symbolic from India, so the seeds of enlightenment. And he says in the future, the Bodhisattva will be transmitting the supreme vehicle. Okay, this is the ultimate level of wisdom you can attain. Okay. And he would transmit it. So this teaching here is transmitted to the Chinese in order to take the multitudes across. And because he's teaching here, countless living beings will end suffering, attain bliss, meaning they will become enlightened. And in particular, not only did it help living beings, a much bigger and not understood, not well appreciated fact is that he was transmitting the true Buddha's mind seal. Okay, meaning that this mind seal here is being transmitted from generation to generation, that proves, that authenticates the teaching as Buddhist, as the Buddhist teaching. is consistent with the Buddhist teaching. Okay, and so you see, for these people, they got together and organized these events. Okay, they are the big shots in Buddhism back then. Okay, and they're doing it as a private thing. It's not like they organize it in order to receive offerings and get more money to build temples. And this is something that was a very big deal for them, to be able to come and participate, to witness it. Okay, unlike nowadays where people use these so-called transmission of the lamp, or transmitting, recognizing a next successor as some commercial thing to make a name for themselves. Kind of nonsense to me, really. Okay, the fact of the matter is that the Dharma is able to help all kinds of living beings at different kinds of levels. So that's why you contrast this. For example, the other night we heard about Fa Chan, who's a Mahayana teacher. He went from India to China, but when he went to a place where all Hinayana people, he said, "No, there's Hinayana. I'm out of here." Okay, and that's not Mahayana at all. That's Hinayana Mahayana, if you will. Okay, whereas here, this Master Huineng's Dharma is able to cross over with multitudes, different kinds of levels, different kinds of backgrounds. Okay, and this is very important because we know this Dharma is authentic. The Dharma that he's transmitting is a truly authentic Buddhist Dharma. Okay, yeah, and that's what patriarchs are supposed to do. Make sure that we know they're patriarchs, so that we can come and get certified or learn the proper Dharma. Unlike right now, we're all confused like hell. You listen to me and say, "But he's no patriarch. What is he doing?" I'm only filling the gap until the real deal comes out. It's a Dharma host. Dharma host here was originally designates the Buddha. It's a term of veneration. Dharma host meaning Buddha. It's a host, the Dharma in this world, in our Saha world. The teaching host, okay, is Shakmina Buddha. The Japanese now calls them as the head of their own sect, the Buddhist sect. This Dharma host here is responsible for lecturing sutras, explains the Dharma. All right, and so, and furthermore, and also more important than you realize, this Dharma host here also anchors the Dharma assemblies. Okay, meaning the host serves a critical role of, because he's being a host, he can draw a lot of people to come to the Dharma assemblies, a lot of living beings to come to Dharma assemblies because of his reputation or her reputation. Okay, and furthermore, it's also the ability to provide the protection and the teaching, okay, and the training for the attendees. Okay, so that's why these Dharma assemblies need to have a host. You don't have a host, so your progress, whether you you make progress or not is actually directly related to the nature or Dharma host who's available. You're not making progress because your Dharma host is not strong enough to help and support you. And you ought to know. Okay? So that's why what you don't realize is that when we had Chanchis and Fochis at the Master Huike's Association, okay, a lot of beings came. Not the human beings, but a lot of beings came, invisible beings came to attend, whether it's Fochi at Long Beach Monastery or a Chanchi at the City of 10,000 Buddhas, and so forth. All these places, okay, the Dharma host was Master Huike. And that's why a lot of these beings came. And because of him being the Dharma host, okay, you could still see him. Some people with the eyes open and say, "Oh, it's Master Huike standing there in the middle." Okay, and because of that, they have a lot of protection, a lot of Dharma protectors. In keeping with the former predictions, the Master came to have his head shaved and to receive the precepts. He instructed the Fourfold Assembly on the doctrines of universally transmitted Dharma.
师智是诸法受戒，即与四众开示照传之法旨，一如习迁。
209. So, the Master, all these events, the fact that Master Huike became a left-form person and received the precept at that platform were all as previously predicted. Okay, and after the ceremony was over, he spoke Dharma for them. Okay, this is another interesting tradition. He spoke the Dharma, so he became a Dharma master, and this is the first time he officially taught the Dharma. Okay, and officially took on the role of transmitting the proper Dharma to the Chinese. All right, and so these may be ceremonial, but again, I personally feel that this is very critical standards for how the Dharma should be propagated. And he spoke Dharma for them. Well, too bad it's not recorded. It would be so cool to see what his first sermon would be like. Okay, so this is how this what he did is how the Dharma was universally transmitted. Okay. They're so fortunate. We don't have that nowadays. That's why there's so much doubt in your mind. When Master Huike was alive, when he spoke Dharma, it's a proper Dharma. Okay? Never mind by those who didn't believe in him. It doesn't matter for us who believe in him, for us who are trying to cultivate. It is so important to listen to the Dharma and say, yep, that's a proper Dharma. I should have no doubt whatsoever, by the way. And that's what happened to me. I benefited from that. Because when in the worst times in my career, in my cultivation, I had so many doubts about myself, about a lot of things, about the world, about Buddhism, about the other monks and nuns, and so forth. the Dharma of Master YongHua that he taught, I never had a single iota of doubt. It's not like, like typical nowadays, I see people out there who come and listen to our lecture and say, really? Okay. If you have that kind of doubt in your mind, you will not open your wisdom. You don't realize how important it is to have a patriarch who says, I'm a patriarch. I am transmitting the proper Dharma. Come and kill me if you wish. But that's what I do. And that's the price I have to pay. To 10. In the spring of the following year, the Master took leave of this assembly and returned to Baolin. Inzong, together with more than 1,000 black-robed monks and white-robed laymen, went directly with the Master to Caoci.
次年春，师众众归宝林，印宗与资白送者1000余人，直至曹溪。
211, commentary. Baolin, now it's called Nanhua, the famous temple there, okay, where there is a mummy of Master Huike, okay, was built in 502 by Indian Tripitaka Master Janana by Shajya, wisdom medicine, okay, and expanded by the 6th Patriarch because he did a lot of more additions in order to teach, to accommodate a lot more disciples. Master Huike was extraordinary. He drew a lot of disciples. So that tells you his level. Okay. And when he left, Inzong, who promoted him, basically became his disciples. Okay, and only they become his disciples as per the Buddhist tradition. His disciples were told to become Master Huike disciples as well. It's not the case where Inzong brought his disciples and lived at that Nanhua, that temple, and then Inzong, the one who instructed his disciples. No, not at all. They all became the same level. They all became cultivators of the proper Dharma. They all have the same shifu, so that his Inzong disciples got promoted. Okay? And it's the same thing with the Buddha, remember? When the Buddha met with Shariputra and Mahamoggallana, each of them had 250 disciples who were all externalists, practicing fire worshipper or something like that. And then when Mahamoggallana took refuge with the Buddha, and Shariputra took a refuge with the Buddha, they brought all the disciples, they all became bhikshus as well. So meaning they all became same level. Okay? And that's what happened. You see, all these things are very consistent with how the Dharma is taught, how the Dharma is practiced. And he brought the black robes. Back then, the Lefon people wore black robe. And the white robes is an Indian tradition. That's for lay people. They practice purity, I suppose. Yes, 9.
From San Jose Daniel. Master, if we have zero doubt, what can we do to make sure we only solidify it for lives to come? And how did we come up with this spontaneous faith?
I don't know how to have doubts, have zero doubts. All I know is that something that's really strange for me personally, and I can't explain it to you, is that a lot of things that Master YongHua did, I didn't understand. A lot of things he explained, I didn't understand. Some of the things he explained to me, he taught me, I didn't understand either. But the one thing that is different about him versus the other monks' teachings, like if I read Master Xu Yun's teaching, I read the other patriarch's teaching, okay? What's different about Master YongHua's teaching when I heard it, read it, even secondhand, heard it from his disciples, or the translation to English, sometimes is not as accurate, okay? I didn't know it back then. But the one thing that's different is that I never had any doubt whatsoever. And that's my saving grace. I could doubt him. Wouldn't understand why he did that to me and all those things. But the Dharma is always there. It's always, to me, there's no doubt. This is the true Dharma. Okay? So, why is it? I don't know about Daniel in San Jose, but I can tell you why it's my case. If you're interested. I don't know, you have better things to do, Find the second patriarch. What are you doing here? The reason I had no doubt, because for me, I know my nature. I'm a very skeptical person. I need facts, I need proofs. That's from my Western educational background. You say something, you better have facts to prove it, to back it up. So, because if I don't have facts, if I hear things, I hear something new, someone tells me something new, my first question is, where are your facts? What is your basis of your assertion? That's what I do. I don't know about you. Huh? Jim, you feel that way too? Huh? Peter, that's how we were trained to do. You're paid to ask questions and to have doubts and then validate your doubts. Yes? Anyone? Are we the only three? Only us three are different from the rest of you? That's how we operate, I think. And especially because of our educational training, because we taught to doubt, to validate, analyze, until our doubts are resolved. Okay? That's how we normally function. Okay? And it's reinforced by our educational training. So how come I didn't have any doubt? I can't speak for Daniel, okay? I can only try to explain to you why, from my perspective. Why do you have any doubts? You want me to answer too? I have to ask questions and then have to give you my answers too? I mean, geez, I have to do all the work. 6.
Thank you, Master. I believe you didn't have any doubts because you had encountered the proper Dharma before.
Absolutely. That's it. Because naturally, your thinking mind says, I don't know. I don't know about this. Never heard of this before. Yes? Sounds familiar to you? I don't know. Why do I have to stop thinking? Say what? What kind of nonsense is this? Stop thinking? Okay? Why do you have to suffer? Why they have to endure suffering? Nonsense. Okay? So the first reaction would be, why? Okay? But amazingly, I never doubted. Even like I read the thing, I remember lying down on my sofa and reading enduring suffering and suffering. I say, okay. Okay. So what do? Go cross my legs so that I endure more suffering. Okay? So it's because, as Peter pointed out, I heard it before and I verified it before. So it's in the psyche, in the consciousness. It says, this one, I heard it before. That's why I totally have no doubt whatsoever about everything Master YongHua taught. So if you look at it from that perspective, Daniel, San Jose Daniel, then it's you want to to have no doubt, listen to more of the Dharma and undergo more of the training, and that's a natural thing. Okay. Because I know that many of you, like, I can't find anyone who has no doubts. You know what I mean? No, as soon as I said something, I explained the Dharma, you should endure suffering. You say, why? You should mind your damn business. Why? It's so wrong. Why can't I talk about it? Why can't I look at it? Because, listen, I'm a lot more bipolar than all of you. I also ask why a lot, okay? I ask why about everything. But for this Dharma here, I never ask why, amazingly. That means that I heard it before and I used it before. So it's not only once, but multiple times. That's why. Does it help, Daniel? So I don't know about you, I wish you luck, but it's natural for you, and I see and I say all of you. I don't know anyone who doesn't doubt me at all. Anyone? Tell me I'm wrong. Q&A.
Master, say someone, maybe our friend Daniel, who, if there's someone who is maybe hearing this the first time, is there anything they can do to help not to have doubt, right? With something like fantasy help, right?
Good question.
No, then you
Okay.
cannot wait till the next lifetimes.
Okay. Well, yes, there's one thing is wait till next lifetime. You fail the test, come back and take the test again. Okay? It's like a SAT, a GRE. Take the test again. What's the big deal? Take it again. And fail again, take it again. Okay? That's what tests are for. Help you fail, and then you can try again. Okay? I have 1 more minute. I'm trying to yes, 4.
I have a question. Can you not verify? Can you specify what do you mean by you heard it before?
It sounds familiar. What else? What kind of question is this? Too Catholic. We Buddhists have this thing about hearing things before. You know what I mean, boys and girls? Huh? These people don't know what we're talking about. We heard it before. Ever have a girl coming over and say, hey, you're so handsome? Never heard it before? See what I mean? Okay. So what do? Okay, now, it's natural to have doubts. And that's why, in order not to have doubts, you need to keep on passing the test. You flunk the test, you keep on taking the test until you have no more doubts. Okay? Doubts is a nature of our thinking mind. And without verification, doubt will arise. Okay? So it is natural for you to have doubts. Okay? And therefore, until your thoughts of doubt stop arising, you should tell yourself that not to listen to your doubts. That's all. That's the first thing you do. Don't listen to your doubts, because you may not be able to understand it, but look around you. People far better than you have heard it and have resolved the doubts already. That's why they're still around. You have the advantage over my master's disciples in that, look around you. Maybe you can see, maybe you can't. There are plenty of people much better than you. So what you're going through is resulting in the doubts that these people before you have already resolved the doubts. And that's a big plus for you. This is why we have Dharma assemblies, because these gatherings are extraordinary. Okay, do not be fooled by the size or the color, or the skin, or whatever, and the height of the people. Actually, just like today's theme I said earlier, it's about you all are worthy Dharma vessels, and those of you who stick around longer are the proofs of that. Because these Dharma assemblies, our way places, are very difficult. The tests are very, very hard. And that's why you see people failing. Many people failed. And let me tell you, it's not uncommon for me to know that I've been pissing people left and right the last few weeks. And they felt like leaving. They felt like Master is unfair to them. And they, in their mind, says, what kind of Dharma is this? They have doubts. And if they leave, tough luck. That's part of the teaching. You leave, you fail. You don't leave, then you understand. That's all. And then that is then in that case, you no longer have doubts about that particular Dharma. You see, that's what happens. So that's why it's a big privilege for you to be able to join these assemblies where these people are really outstanding. Okay, they may not look it, but they survive a lot of tests, went through a lot. Okay, and that's what it takes. It takes is that the reason that those who went through these difficult tests, who decided to come back or decided not to quit, not to leave, even though they have all the reasons in the world to leave and to quit, okay? It's because I can't get rid of them. I want to push them out, but they won't leave. What am I going to do? You think it's like, think like Harvard and say, my class has, this year, my class, I'm graduating 348, MBA students. Wow, my program is so special. No, if every year if I graduate one, I'd be so happy. Because 347 failed, so that one can succeed. Yes, 4.
Talking about doubts. When I started coming to this temple, back in the other temple, I forgot the name of the other temple. I remember that I had a lot of doubts about Catholicism, and I wanted to leave the church. So I first.
We welcome you with open arms.
So I wanted to leave the church, and I'm like.
Oh, we didn't tell you? Oh, shucks, too late.
So I was like, should I just become Buddhist, for 1 second, and let's see how it goes? And I'm like, so I just started researching. I wanted to see that the church was wrong and I was right. So that was my doubt. So I had to work through my doubts about the church, and I found out that I cannot leave the church because for me, that's my true
destiny.
source.
Yes.
So I'm very grateful for that, in this temple for that.
So we help you become a devoted Catholic. Can we do a testimonial and send it to the Catholics? Said to have proof that we are not trying to convert you people at all. Actually, we're helping you become better Catholics. Okay, everyone. Okay, so that's. I hope it helps. Number one is that naturally you should have doubts, but look, don't think so highly of yourself. So many people will also have doubts in a much higher level than you. Okay, so these people are higher level than you because they resolve these doubts already. And number two, the only way for you to survive these tests is blessings. It doesn't matter how smart you are, how good you are. You don't have blessings, you'll be hightailing away from here in no time. And I be honest with you, I'm trying to get rid of some people, but I can't. Every time I look at them, oh my God, why me? Go to Daniel's church. They'll treat you so much better than I do. When are you going to wake up to that? Okay, thank you everyone. Good night.